Hey everyone, and welcome back to Two Theories. I'm Ivy, and I am so excited to dive into another captivating mystery with you all today.
And I'm Logan, your other host for Two Theories. We love a good enigma here, and today's case, oh man, it's one of those that has just captured the public's imagination for decades.
Absolutely. We're talking about the one, the only DB Cooper. I mean, it's a name that just conjures up so much intrigue, right? The ultimate skyjacker.
For sure. We're going to unpack all the wild details of his infamous hijacking, the endless investigation, and of course, the enduring Cooper vortex that's just sucked in so many people trying to figure out what happened.
Yeah, it's truly a mystery that just will not die. And we're gonna, really dig into why that is. So buckle up, everyone, because this is going to be a wild ride. So let's just set the scene, right? It's November 24th, 1971, the night before Thanksgiving, actually. And, a man who called himself Dan Cooper, which, isn't even his real name, but we'll get to that. He boards Northwest Orient Flight 305 in Portland, Oregon.
Yeah, I mean, already you're thinking, okay, this sounds like the start of a movie, right? And he's dressed in this sharp black suit and tie, carrying only a briefcase, very unassuming,
Very dapper almost.
right? You'd think he's just, going to a business meeting or something, maybe for Thanksgiving. But shortly after takeoff, this is where it gets wild. He hands a note to a flight attendant named Florence Schaffner, and get this, he claims he has a bomb.
Ugh, can you imagine just getting that note? I mean, the sheer terror that must have caused. And then he just lays out his demands, no messing around. He wanted $200,000 in cash, a lot of cash, especially back then.
Yeah, that's a huge sum, and not just the cash. He wanted 4 parachutes and a fuel truck all ready for him in Seattle, very specific. He had this whole plan clearly already worked out.
Totally. And so the plane lands in Seattle, right? And he lets all the passengers go, which is kind of a little bit unique for a hijacker, but he keeps the crew aboard. Yeah, he's like, passengers, you're good. Crew, you're with me. And then he tells them, all right, next stop, Mexico City, which, sounds like a pretty chill destination, but it wasn't for him.
Not at all. So the plane takes off again, heading south, presumably towards Mexico City, but somewhere over southwestern Washington in the middle of the stormy dark night, that's when he parachutes out.
Just jumps, poof, gone into the stormy night. And he was never seen again. Never.
And that's the whole thing, right? The ultimate vanishing act. It's just so audacious, so bold. It's why this case just, lives on. And that's exactly where the next part of this mystery really kicks in, right? Because after such an audacious act, you'd expect an immediate massive search. And oh boy, did they get one.
Yeah, I mean, the FBI launched this huge, just absolutely massive investigation. You can only imagine the resources they poured into it. I mean, this was unprecedented.
Totally. They were looking everywhere, interviewing everyone, combing through potential landing sites, but no trace of Cooper was ever found. It's just wild.
It's almost unbelievable, isn't it? How do you just vanish? And for years, nothing, just silence. Until 1980, right? That's when a boy actually found some of the ransom money.
Oh yeah, the famous money find. It was what, $5,800 along the Columbia River? I mean, that must have sparked so much hope for the investigators. Aha, we're finally getting somewhere.
Yeah, but it's it was a tease, because even with that discovery, it didn't really lead anywhere. No new solid evidence, no DNA, nothing that could really definitively point to Cooper or his fate.
Which must have been so incredibly frustrating for the FBI agents working on this, right? You have this tangible piece of evidence, it's the money, but it doesn't give them the break they need.
Exactly. It's just another dead end, ironically. And fast forward all the way to 2016 and the FBI actually officially closed the case. I mean, that's almost like 45 years after the fact.
Yeah, 2016. That's recent when you think about it. And it was just like due to a complete lack of leads. I mean, they just couldn't find anything else. Imagine working on a case for decades and then just having to say, okay, we're done.
It's got to be disheartening, right? To have this like iconic unsolved mystery just sitting there taunting you. And eventually you just have to admit we've exhausted everything. It really highlights how baffling this whole thing truly is. And that's exactly where we go from the official investigation to like what some people call the Cooper vortex.
Oh, I love that term, the Cooper vortex, because it truly captures it, doesn't it? It's like this gravitational pull that the case has on people, just obsessive sleuths and researchers completely consumed by it.
Yeah, totally. It's fascinating. I mean, you have people like Jeffrey Gray, who wrote Skyjack, right? He's really delved into it.
Uh-huh. And then there's Darren Schaefer, who actually hosts the Cooper Vortex podcast, which is a great name, obviously. I mean, these are people who've dedicated like years to this.
Yeah, and it's not just like authors or podcasters. You have specific individuals with their own theories, like Marty Andrade, for example. He believes Cooper landed like super specifically near Battleground, Washington.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. And then you have Karen Humes, who argues he actually jumped over suburban farmland, which is like a completely different theory. It's not like some remote wilderness.
Right? It just goes to show like the breadth of these theories. And it's not just like armchair detectives. These are often people who've, done a ton of research. They've looked at the weather patterns, the flight path.
Yeah, they've really gone down the rabbit hole. It's like they're not just guessing. They're trying to piece together every single tiny detail. And they're all coming up with different but equally compelling theories.
Exactly. And I think that's why it's so captivating, right? Because these investigators, these, self-appointed sleuths, they really represent the deep, enduring allure of the case. It never truly lets go.
It doesn't. And it's like everyone wants to be the one to solve it, to be the person who finally cracks the D.B. Cooper mystery. It's pretty powerful.
Yeah, and it speaks to like the human desire for closure, I think. When something is so open-ended, it just begs to be figured out. Speaking of closure, there's actually a pretty compelling push for new evidence. Even now, like even after the FBI officially closed the case, there are still people saying, hey, wait a minute, we need to look at this again.
Oh, absolutely. And one of the most prominent voices in that camp is Pat Boland, right? She's really been advocating for like DNA testing on the parachute that was left behind, which, makes total sense.
Yeah, you think so, wouldn't you? Like, why wouldn't you? But the FBI has actually declined that request. Like, they're not going to do it.
Which is, I don't know, a bit frustrating, right? You have this like piece of evidence, this potentially huge lead, and they're just like, nope, we're good.
It's almost like they've made their decision and they're sticking to it, no matter what new technology comes along. But Pat Boland, she offers like such a fresh view on this whole thing. It's not just about solving the mystery for her.
No, it's really interesting because she reminds everyone, the public, of the actual trauma that was inflicted on the flight attendants. And I mean, that's something that often gets like overlooked when you're just focused on the hijacker himself.
Exactly. We get so wrapped up in D.B. Cooper, the legend, the enigma, but there were real people on that plane, and they went through something absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, and I think her perspective is so crucial because it's easy to romanticize Cooper. Like he's this sort of anti-hero figure in a way. But Boland really pushes back on that, questioning the whole mythologizing of him.
Yeah, she's like, hold on, guys. This was a crime. This wasn't some like charming rogue adventure story. And I think that's a really important distinction to make. It brings it back to the human element, the real impact of it all.
Totally. It's not just about the money or the jump. It's about, the fear, the lives that were potentially threatened. And yeah, she's really good at bringing that back into the conversation rather than just focusing on the cool mystery aspect.
Which is, I mean, it's easy to get lost in that, right? We're literally doing a podcast about it, but she grounds it in reality, which I think is super valuable. And that's kind of the irony, isn't it? Because despite the trauma and despite it being a real crime, Cooper has become this incredible folk hero. Like, it's wild how much he's just embedded himself in popular culture.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's almost like the less we know, the more he becomes this larger than life figure. He's a symbol of rebellion, isn't he? He's the ultimate unsolved mystery, like the guy who just stuck it to the man and got away with it.
Yeah, he's that rogue figure that just captures the imagination. I remember seeing somewhere that there are like actual bars named after D.B. Cooper. Like, people are literally drinking in places named after this guy.
Yeah, that's wild, right? And not just bars. I mean, think about the TV references. He's been like in Loki, for goodness sake. He's referenced in so many shows and movies. And then you've got the fan conventions, Logan. Like, people actually dress up as DB Cooper, right? The whole dark suit, the tie, the briefcase. It's like it's become this iconic image. And these fan conventions, I mean, they're not just like little meetups. People are really dedicated to this. They do reenactments, don't they?
They do. And it's all because I think he represents something really unique. He's, the only person to ever hijack a U.S. plane and actually, like, get away with it. At least that we know of. That's a pretty powerful myth.
It really is. It's like he achieved the impossible, and because his fate is so unknown, it just allows for endless speculation and this sort of cultural veneration that other criminals just don't get. It's almost like a modern-day urban legend.
Totally. And it just keeps going, right? Like, new generations discover the story, and they're just as captivated as the first ones were. It's truly fascinating how a crime can turn into this kind of folktale. And that's probably the biggest question, isn't it? The one that everyone always comes back to. Did he even survive the jump?
Yeah, that's the ultimate cliffhanger, literally. I mean, on one hand, you have people who are pretty convinced he perished, like jumping out of a plane at night in a storm over rugged terrain with practically no gear. It sounds like a death wish, right?
Totally. I mean, common sense would suggest, like, no way he made it. The elements, the impact, it's a miracle if he did. And, they never found a body, which is also interesting.
Exactly. But then on the other hand, you have this whole camp of people who are like, no way, he planned this perfectly. They believe he was, probably military trained, maybe even special forces, someone who knew exactly what they were doing and executed it with precision.
Right, because who just, like, does something that audacious without some serious training, right? It's not just, oh, I'll go jump out of a plane tonight. He had a plan, they argue. He knew the risks and how to mitigate them.
Yeah, they suggest he was just that good. Like, he anticipated everything, landed safely, and just vanished. And, the fact that no definitive trace of him beyond that partial money has ever been found really feeds into that idea. Like, if he died, wouldn't something have turned up?
That's the kicker, isn't it? Because for all the theories, all the suspects who have emerged over the years, not a single one has been definitively proven. It's just guesswork.
It is, and that's why this mystery lives on, Logan, because we don't know his identity. We don't know his fate. Was he a master criminal, an amateur, a military operative? Did he die, or is he, like, living on a beach somewhere? That complete enigma around who he was and what happened to him is just, it's catnip for, true crime enthusiasts and amateur sleuths. It fuels all the speculation.
It really does. It leaves this massive void, and everyone just tries to fill it with their own theories. And because there's no official answer, I guess, everyone's theory is as good as the next, at least for the public. Wow. What a ride, Logan. I mean, we've gone from the daring heist itself to the endless chase, the Cooper vortex, new evidence pushes, and then, the cultural myth. It's a lot.
It really is, Ivy. And honestly, it still blows my mind that after all these years, it's still such a complete mystery. Like, we just don't know.
Yeah, it's wild. But that brings us to the end of this episode of Two Theories. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the D.B. Cooper mystery.
Absolutely. We hope you enjoyed dissecting this legendary case with us. If you have your own theories or thoughts on D.B. Cooper, we'd love to hear them. You can reach us on our social media channels. Links are in the description.
And join us next time, because we've got another fascinating, unsolved mystery or true crime case lined up for you. We're going to be digging into, well, you'll just have to tune in to find out.
Until then, this has been
Logan and Ivy.
For Two Theories.
We'll see you next time.